Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a wonderful few hours since I last saw you. Today, I shall have for you my Game Week 27 team selection, which will include my transfers that I've made and who I will be captaining. Given the very tight turnaround from everything you need to do this video, I thought it was largely irrelevant to include solving your problems, as I hope to have covered everything needed in the last video, and there won't have been any developments in the hours that I filmed that and this video. So I will have a short section at the start where I talk about a couple benching dilemmas, but that's about it. Nothing too major. And then we will hop into the team selection. For those of you who are new around here and those of you who are regular viewers who have not subscribed, if you could press that button, I would be greatly appreciative. That would be magnificent. And if you enjoy the video, do drop a like on it. But with nothing else needing to be said, let's hop into it. I actually thought it a better practice to include the benching dilemmas in each and every section as we go. So that is what I shall be doing. We have Jordan Pickford here, and as has been the case for a few game weeks now, there's really not much to discuss. Am I selling him? No. Spoiler alert, he plays against Worcester, who I am starting, but nonetheless, I cannot justify transferring him, especially when he has a fixture in 29. Talking about 29, however, though, before this, I went and looked at some fixture projections, and I also went and planned my team for weeks going forward. And what I realized is on the assumption that, number one, you have quite a few Palace assets, and Newcastle assets, and Liverpool assets. Number two, you see a lot of upside associated to free hit 29 in isolation, really. And number three, you aren't too worried about having an optimal bench boost. Slash, you can have single game week optimal assets such as Arsenal and Liverpool. Slash, you're just okay being suboptimal. Or you can get to a very good bench boost even with the position you're in without a wildcard. I am not as against free hit 29 for those managers as I probably was until fairly recently. It just grew in strength, the idea on X, and I was like, I'll go and check it out, and I realized it's actually not that bad. So that is something to consider for those of you guys on that. But for someone like myself, I looked at it and largely makes sense to not free in 29 and wildcard probably in 30. The reason I want a wildcard in 30 is I feel like there are opportunities to be had in 30. For example, like triple Palace away at Southampton. And not just that, I toyed with the idea of not getting Haaland in 29, and that is something I looked at. Probably will get him, but I did toy with the idea. So one of these reasons that I'm probably going to wildcard in 30, and I just think making the squad as optimal as possible for one more week is certainly in my best interest. That was a bit more strategy talk, but yeah, whatever happens with Pickford happens, and there's quite literally no point analysing him. I haven't seen a single person using Goalkeeper. So here is my first surprise when it comes to the team selection. Lewis Hall does indeed start over Ibrahima Konate. But why? Why am I doing that? Well, firstly and foremost, if you watched yesterday's Everything You Need to Know, you will know there's no great secret. I will be captaining Cole Palmer over Mohamed Salah. So, given that logic, I can't assume that Salah's going to haul and rip Lewis Hall to shreds. Otherwise, I wouldn't play him, and I would captain Salah. However, I don't think that's going to be. And as such, I think that in my particular position, when I'm not captaining Salah and I'm starting Isak, I have to at least consider the prospect of trying to bet on a Newcastle clean sheet as opposed to Ibrahima Konate. The other thing is that I can genuinely see him getting an attacking return. One thing I spoke about in yesterday's, how the left winger always gets through more defensive work than Salah does on right now. Not to say that Salah doesn't work. He worked incredibly hard against Manchester City. He doesn't work as much. And if they can get Trent isolated, it won't be the same dynamic where it was Doku versus Trent again and again and again. It will be Gordon versus Trent, largely in transition as well, given the differences in philosophy and play style more so. With Newcastle, Manchester City, obviously Newcastle's being more transition-based, a bit quicker, a bit more direct, whereas City's being more possessional-based. And not only will he have Gordon flying at him, not taking him on 1v1, but flying at him, so meaning that he has less cover if he is to get beat. Also, you have Lewis Hall in his overlaps, up and down that pitch, but the overlaps, the underlaps as well. And then his quality of delivery is so good. He's proficient at different angles. He can use his right foot. He can shoot as well. He can break beyond the last line. He can overlap all the way. He can underlap quite a long way as well as just everything else that's necessary for an attacking, more standard, more old school type of football. When I say old school, I mean like 5-10 years ago, that type of breed, not the ones that always invert. So with that, I do genuinely think I've got a chance at an attacking return. And given they're 5-for-1, and given I'm betting on it in terms of captaincy, I'm quite happy to do that in terms of the defensive position as well. I think Konate's got a decent shout at getting a goal in the game. They were quite poor at defending set pieces against Forest. Liverpool obviously have two monsters again, Van Dijk and Konate. If he scores, so be it. He can get some points on my bench again. But I am going to be betting on Lewis Hall. Obviously, the 5-4-1, as I spoke about yesterday, is a big deal. That will cause Liverpool some problems at least. Obviously, I'm trying to get a little bit lucky. Obviously, Liverpool's clean sheet odds are higher than Newcastle. But whatever the bookies say, I would personally have it closer. That's that. Gabriel, as you can see with the rest of the defense, if I'm going to bench Canate or Lewis Hall, I don't really have a choice. I have to play Gabriel, especially when I don't own Chris Wood. I have to play Robinson, especially when I don't have Cunha. So there's no real point discussing them in terms of my team, but your team, right? You may have like Forest defender that you're considering playing over Gabriel because you think Forest are going to win. I think that's cool. They don't really concede too many goals from set pieces. They're a huge side. They're good in the box in terms of dealing with set pieces. But Gabriel shouldn't get too much change out of them. Similar sort of analysis to the game against West Ham. And then, honestly, with the way that Arsenal are playing, and also the players they have available to them at the moment, that's a really big thing, right? I don't see why Forest shouldn't get a result here. Like, if there was the assistant manager chip available, I wouldn't mind putting it on Forest again, playing against Arsenal again. Yeah, I could see them potentially doing something, but I still have to have respect for the Arsenal quality. And if they were to win, I wouldn't exactly bat an eyelid at it. But let's just say you had like a Forest defender you want to pay him over in, like Ole Einar. I think that's cool. Let's say you had like a Daniel Munoz. I think he should be starting in most cases. Personally, I think Villa score, but given his attacking threat and given the form they're in, given they're at home, from a decision-making standpoint, I think you probably start him in most cases. And Robinson, I know a lot of people are down on him at the moment. I would say don't let recency bias come into it too much. There's a reason he has the amount of assists he does this season. The reason he has the amount of points he has this season. And he should have a lot more than he does. They just concede like one goal in each of these kind of stupid ruins the clean sheet. But overall, he's got a lot going for him. And whilst this isn't the best prospect, I think it'll be a difficult game away at Fulham. I still think he's okay and okay enough to start and not sell, right? Have a little bit more faith in him, I would say, than maybe the general consensus is at the moment on him. Yeah, that's about it when it comes to benching line dilemmas and defenders. I think you start Trent, right? Like, say I had Trent instead of Konate. Yeah, I probably start him. Like, I probably do. But that's just me. I think for like people who are far more bullish on Trent, probably like most of yourselves watching, I would be starting Trent, and there aren't too many other defenders to do. Maybe a Mikalenko. I would bench him. In most cases, I would be benching Mikalenko as well. And yeah, that's about it for the defenders. For those who have been considering joining the community and those who haven't heard about it at all, this is what is on offer to yourself should you join. Access to the exclusive WhatsApp community group, including exclusive football analysis and FPL help from so many brilliant managers, many of which are flying at the moment, and a very good feel in the group. And if you would like an even better feel to the group, you can join the other one, which is the Diamond tier, and you would have access to both, including the 1-hour Q&A calls, where we go over your team and your spot/potential routes for that particular game week, and a few game weeks on as well. If you would like access to all of that, then the link is in the description below, and I would love to see you there. Try it for 1 month, and if you don't like it, by all means cancel. As I've said a few times, minimum downside to this, maximum upside. That was my first surprise, and now for my second, in the form of a Chelsea double-up with Pedro Neto. You were probably expecting Morgan Rogers to be sold for a West Ham asset, particularly Mohamed Kudus, given I could only afford him and given how I spoke about him in transfer plans and everything you know. But I've opted for Pedro Neto. So why? Firstly and foremost, it's a fiction. It does not get any better than Southampton at home and Leicester at home in FPL at the moment. I mean that with the greatest respect. It's not just the quality of the team, but it's also the approach. At least Ipswich, right, when they went away to Liverpool, they really tried to make it really difficult for Liverpool. Southampton and Leicester don't really do that. Even against Brentford at home, they didn't block low. It makes so much sense to do that against the Brentford side, who play in the way they do and want to play in the way they do, right? But they didn't do that. Southampton, obviously, any time this season, don't really do that. And the spaces on offer against these two sides are huge. And for Neto in particular, that's really important. He's not a natural number 9. So just giving him space in a lateral sense, given not like a 5-for-1, it's just like a standard back 4, is really helpful in terms of his finishing, but also given he's a runner and now have that space in which to penetrate. This is by no means a slam dunk, because I am taking a risk, right? He's not been a prolific goal scorer in the past. However, I do think the right wing roles that he's played have always been more creatively orientated, significantly more creatively orientated. And you give a guy who's got good ball striking, who is largely two-footed and is proficient at different angles when it comes to the ball, like shooting and ball striking. And honestly, I think there's a hole, right? In these two games, I think there's a hole. Given the position he's playing, false line role against these two teams, at home, back-to-back, and it was a good performance against Villa. I went and watched a little bit back, and I was impressed. More impressed in the rewatch than I was the first time around. you pick up on different things. Maybe I was looking out for it as well. But yeah, I think that's enough for me to justify going here over Mohamed Kudus. Even though he has Leicester at home, even though I think he's going to do well, it's just more so the Newcastle at home fixture, even though I don't think it's that bad. It's just this Southampton at home fixture is too good, and he's playing in the position that is probably best for him to score. So for those reasons, I will be going for Pedro Neto. As you see, Atara drops to the bench. Brighton are playing well at the moment. I can see Atara's expected minutes slightly reduced, and it's not too much more than that. That's pretty much it, right? Talking about benching, the other thing that I was genuinely considering before I filmed this video, and I was genuinely considering it, was getting Neto, but also taking out Dango for a -4 to get Bowen, and then taking out Watkins for a -4 to get Cunha. But that's not even the craziest part. I was going to bench Salah if I did that. That was kind of the play, but I talked myself out of that. Not so much for the Salah benching, not so much for the hit for Bowen, but for the hit for Watkins. I don't think I can justify selling Ollie Watkins, or I have a feeling he's going to do something for Cunha, who I wasn't as high on maybe as other people are in everything you need to know. Like I said, very, very good, but I just don't think the two fixtures are quite as good as they're made out to be. One of them could be just give a slight wobble against Palace, but I personally don't think so. Salah, well, if I'm starting him, there's not really much to ask. We'll talk about one with captaincy. And then Foden, I mean, it's a good fixture for him, right? And to be honest, I think he's been quite unfortunate. I thought the soft signs were there against Liverpool. Obviously had the assist chalked off for the Marmoush offside, and against Newcastle, where they won 4-0, got in good position. Just didn't kind of really fall for him. But given De Bruyne's physical decline, I think the minutes of Foden in that right-sided 10 role should be absolutely fine. Or he might even play false 9 if Haaland's out. Either way, I'm happy to hold him, more than happy to hold him. And I'm expectant of a return because I think he owes me one. Even though he was so brilliant for me earlier, I do think he might just owe me one return. Moving on to benching dilemmas, there won't be too many you will have in the midfield aside from Bournemouth, I feel like. So what we'll do is we'll combine it with the forwards because you can play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. Finally, moving on to the forwards. Currently, you will see that Yohan Wissa starts over Dango Atara. And obviously, Wissa plays against Pickford. That's not usually how I play. Now, I haven't given this as much thought as I would like to give you a confirmation on this decision. As things stand, I will be starting Wissa, but if this is to change, and it will only change after I record this, it's like 6 a.m., so I'll give it more thought in the morning, the afternoon. I will update you guys. As things stand, this is how it will be, though. Like I said, I couldn't justify selling Watkins for a hit for a plan I like, so not starting. Then Isak, I'm starting call. I'm clearly somewhat bullish on Newcastle prospects, certainty, like Graham Potter. But Newcastle's prospects away at Anfield, he gave Van Dijk the hardest game he had this season at St James's Park, so he could do that again. And given how good of a player he is, he's always got a goal in him. Always got a goal in him. Brilliant on the bonus when he does. Obviously, coming off a 4-3 win, good for morale, especially when he scores a brace. And yeah, there's probably not too much to discuss there. If you're starting Chris Wood or benching him, one thing to consider. Look at his goals, very much in a certain zone. And I just think in that zone that he scores his goal, the type of goals he scores, very snappy action, quick, like somewhat intuitive as well, just in the right place at the right time, good technique. Very difficult against Arsenal, especially if like you're going to score goals from settled possession against Arsenal. Very difficult like that. That is something to consider. Obviously, if you think Arsenal conceded a bunch of transitions and the end of them, that's fine. I personally think Arteta goes a bit more defensive because it's at night as well, right? And that's a big deal. That just means the ground will be up for it just a little bit more. And with Arsenal not in the best place, with them losing big players, their leaders on the pitch, lack of maturity, especially with so many youngsters, would probably show in the game, could probably start to drift and turn into a bit more of a basketball one. But that would be the worst thing, I think, they'll get if that happens. So I think you'll see Wood in a lot of situations where he's heavily occupied and there's not too much space for him to exploit at all. And I'm not talking about in behind him at all, but even behind him, just back to goal, or in front of him, or laterally. That's what I have to say about him. Cunha, you obviously start if you have. I guess even if you have Robinson, if you brought in Cunha, no, you can bring him in and not start him right. And yeah, that's about it. I know some people have like Daniel Munoz and Henderson and have Watkins. I think this is one game we have to bite the bullet a little bit of playing assets against each other. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Palace won, but I just got this feeling about Ollie Watkins. And he's also like the 8th highest scorer of this game in the game. That's remarkable. Barely had like a real good word said about him, so it shows how good he is. And if he managed to find some real form, quite dangerous and shoot up those rankings. So yeah, that is the team, and now we shall move on to captaincy. Given I discussed captaincy at full length in everything you need to know, I'm not going to go over all the variables again here. If you would like to check it out, then you can simply go to the last video that I posted, titled Everything You Need to Know, and analysis there. You will notice that the vice captaincy is not on Mohamed Salah. I'm just not interested in captaining him at all. So if Cole Palmer is to miss out for whatever reason, then I'll take the Chelsea false 9. If not him, then it'll be Foden. It'll be one of the two, though. But Mohamed Salah will not be getting my armband, and it will be Cole Palmer. For the reasons all the football reasons I discussed, and how that translates to Salah having a lower relative floor than what he is used to, and Palmer, obviously, high ceiling, given it is Southampton at home. 5-1. That's my Chelsea prediction. 5-1. Newcastle, 2-1. I don't know which team to, but I'm going to say 2-1. But 5-1 Chelsea in that game, and as such, I don't really have much of a choice apart from captaining Cole Palmer. And that's based on my analysis that came yesterday. So yeah, obviously, if you're going Salah, best of luck to you. If you're going Palmer, best of luck to you. I got a feeling that this will be not the biggest swing, but there will actually be a bit of a swing, whichever way it goes. Obviously, the last time around, everyone pretty much captained Palmer. He gets 7. Salah gets what? 18, 19. Brilliant second half performance. Some brilliant final actions to deliver the output. This time around, we will, like I said, there's not really much. All in everything you need. That is all she wrote for this game week's content, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like on the video, please, and equally subscribe if you have not already. Consider joining the membership if you have not already, and equally, if you are considering joining, then by all means, go and try it for a month. I would love to see you there. I shall see you for transfer plans tomorrow, regardless of when you're watching this. And I very much look forward to reviewing what shall be a very interesting game week. I imagine there will be some small to medium to large size swings. I wish you the very, very, very best of luck. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.